Hi, it's Conrad here from 21st Century Property Direct, and congratulations for making it to this site. Over the next 30 minutes or so, you're going to hear some of the most important information that will propel your property investing to another level and change your investing life forever. Big call? Maybe. But first, let me share some stats with you about property investors in Australia today. Did you know that approximately 80% of property investors own only one investment property? I don't really call these investors, rather than people who have purchased a property. 80% of the 80% have purchased an investment property 3 kilometres to 5 kilometres from where they live. I think they do that because they want to keep an eye on it, just in case it runs off. So let me ask you a question. What is it the other 20% of property investors know that stands them apart and enables them to build large property portfolios that enable them to retire and create extraordinary lifestyles? Because I can tell you now, it has absolutely nothing to do with how much income they're making from their job. So what is it? And more importantly, how can you get your hands on it? I'll get to that later, but for now, let me articulate exactly what it consists of. You can actually break it down into 5 distinctive sections. It's like a recipe for baking a cake. You must know and include each section in the mix, otherwise you'll fail or end up buying just one property like 80% of investors currently do. So let's get to the crunch. What is it that you're talking about, Conrad? Here it is. And these are the 5 key elements or recipe components, if you like, to successful property investing. The first one is property wealth mindset, and I'll cover these in detail as well. Number 2, 52-point due diligence criteria. Number 3, the ability to use the property investor analysis software. Number 4, understanding how debt serviceability ratios work and apply to you as an investor. And number 5, correct finance portfolio structuring techniques, perhaps the most important of all. And here's the clincher. If you don't know these 5 points intimately, then it's this lack of knowledge that is costing you hundreds of thousands of unrealized profits. Think about it for a moment. If you had this knowledge 10 years ago, and more importantly, implemented this knowledge, what difference would it make to your life? And let's be conservative here. If you ended up with 5 investment properties worth $600,000 each, and 1.5 million in equity, because as you know, properties in the major capital cities have doubled or tripled over the past 10 years, what effect would that have on your life today? What effect would it have on your family's life today? What opportunities could you take advantage of today that you currently have missed out on? And more importantly, what action will you take right now to make sure that the next 10 years will be different from the last 10 years? Well, I can honestly tell you that you're in the right time and the right place. I'd like to personally invite you to spend one day with me and the team and learn how to fast track your learning curve and build a large property portfolio. I'm inviting you to a one-day wholesale property release workshop, which will be unlike anything that you've attended in the past. It's a never before seen exclusive behind the scenes look at how a specialised team of property experts are able to dissect property deals and openly expose the good, the bad and the ugly, and obviously the great deals. You will learn a simple step-by-step process that will literally become your Bible or your blueprint for success. This intensive one-day workshop will reveal strategies that have been in the domain of experienced property investors and industry experts, until now of course. The one-day workshop is divided into, and you guessed it, 5 distinctive sections, and here they are. Part 1, and I'm going to go through these in somewhat of detail, but you've really got to attend the workshop. The first one is a creative mindset. Here you'll learn how to train your mind to recognize profitable real estate opportunities that exist virtually everywhere and that most investors simply don't recognize. You'll know how to develop the same creative mindset that many property millionaires use to become wealthy. You'll spend the first part of the day with Stephen Molnar and Todd Polke and learn how to identify these opportunities. Number 2, 52-point due diligence criteria. Here you'll learn a step-by-step process, the exact methodology the 21st Century Property Direct uses to scrutinize their developments, which take it to a short list of projects which ultimately we recommend for our clients to invest in. Once you understand the process of conducting unbiased fundamental due diligence, the investment options and suburbs will shrink dramatically in terms of options, and this will make your property investing a lot easier for you. Let me give you a sneak preview of the 52-point due diligence criteria. Number 1, and this is the most important criteria, is capital growth. If you're buying a property, you need capital growth of at least 10% per year over the last 10 years. and you need to use RP data to actually prove that this is the case. Number two, the property and its proximity to the major capital cities. We don't go for outer areas, guys. We only recommend properties within 5 to 15 k's of the city, unless in Melbourne or Sydney they're bayside or waterfront properties. We can extend it a little bit further to maybe 25 or 30 k's, but it has to be the right area. The vacancy rates have to have 2% or less for the area. Vacancy rates in Bayside Melbourne, for example, now are below 1%. There's parts of Sydney at the moment where the vacancy rates are below 0.5%. Proximity to transport, especially Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane, it's getting harder and harder for people to commute to the city because of parking. Parking is getting very expensive. In Melbourne and Sydney you can spend $30, $40, $50 per day on parking. So you need to make sure that the property that you're buying is located close to transport, trains, buses and trams. Very important. Number 5, proximity to major infrastructure, schools, lifestyle areas, shopping centres. You need to be walking distance or very short driving distance to at least 2 very good schools and 1 major shopping centre. Now, I've just shown you a sneak peek of the first 5 of the 52-point criteria. Number 6 is the correct land versus building ratio on the valuation. You need to make sure that on the valuation at least 40% of your value is land. If it's any less, you won't get capital growth on your property. So even if you're buying 1-bedroom apartments, you need to understand that you can get 1-bedroom apartments in St Kilda or Elwood where on the valuation 40 or 50% of the valuation of that property is made up of land. Yes, it may only be 100 square metres or 200 square metres of land, but it's land in St Kilda and Elwood, and we know that land quadruples over 10 years. So you need to understand the correct ratio of land versus building in your valuation. There is another 46 points to go, and let me ask you a question. Did you know all these points? If you didn't, why not? Or more importantly, what action will you take in the future to rectify this lack of knowledge? Let's continue. Part 3. Summersoft Property Investor Analysis Software. We use the Pro version. We'll teach you step by step how to calculate cash flow analysis via the Property Investor Analysis Software. The Property Investor Analysis Software, also known as the PIA, program is an essential decision tool for investors. It will analyze the capital growth, cash flow and tax implications for any investment opportunity or property and provide instant feedback on the projected after-tax costs and rate of return. The software will compute cash flow projections for up to 40 years and has facilities for changing more than 100 variables including property price, rent, capital growth, inflation, deposit amount, loan type, etc. The internal rate of return, IRR, and the cost per week are recalculated automatically whenever this change is made. Guys, if you're not using this software right now and you're in property, you're kidding yourself. You've got to get your hands on this software, and more importantly, you've got to get the proper training to actually understand how to use this software. I've been using this software now for over 10 years. For me, I wouldn't be able to be where I am today without the use of this software. It's just impossible. Number 4, DSR ratios. We'll take you through real-life examples and teach you how to use the property investment analysis software in order to recognize the best property that you should be focusing on personally yourself, based on your income tax bracket, cash flow, negative gearing benefits, depreciation schedules of different properties, and the most important key, debt service ratios and the costs associated of holding different types of property. This unique workshop is designed to create an open learning environment where you walk away with specific knowledge of knowing exactly what type of property is best for you. Part 5. Property portfolio structuring strategies. At the conclusion of the day, Stephen Molnar and Todd Polke will go through the 3 main types of property portfolio structuring strategies and the essential 7 keys that all investors must be aware of if they're wanting to fast-track their results. Furthermore, we're going to offer you an opportunity to book in a 1-hour consultation with one of our experienced 21st Century Property Direct senior consultants in order to have a personal assessment and tailor-made plan created that will virtually save you years of trial and error and fast-track your property portfolio results to a whole new level. By this stage, you're going to know more about property investing than 99% of investors in Australia today. And all you have to do is click the button below and register for a workshop. Final thoughts. This unique one-day event will be unlike anything that you have may ever experienced in the past at other real estate seminars or workshops, because everyone who'll be presenting will be real strategies, and you'll learn how to conduct unbiased fundamental property and market due diligence by experts who themselves have become successful property investors and now wealth coaches. Final thoughts. The one-day workshop or the one-day wholesale property release workshop is bound to sell out fast. We've been talking about this workshop now for 6 months. We have people that have been pre-booking. You don't want to miss out. Book yourself in. It's going to be an event unlike anything else you've attended to. I hope to see you at a future event in your major capital city. Book now to avoid disappointment. Thank you.